on the bright side of this, at least I got the perfect length of the starter wires, not the actual starter, from the old harness that I still believe is good. I cut it at the perfect point, and that way I can, either me or my dad can easily get access to the wires and butt splice them together. Whenever I cut this off, pretty much, like as I said earlier, everything's pretty much back together. The visors are put back together. I don't know if this, like now, you're not going to get power as of now because the battery's disconnected, and these aren't the cleanest, but they have more features on it. And when these light up, these are actually already LED lights. And so far I'm happy with the result. It's just the radio and the light fuse is bugging me. I'm really hoping it's that instead. But I did the hood test, and it passed the test. It clears it enough. I don't know if you could see that. I don't know if you could pick that up. This sun's giving me a hard time. It cleared. I think it just needs to be straightened out a little bit, but yeah, it passed the test. And now I'll go ahead and do the wiring. I actually came up with a little bit of a life hack. So, it turns out I don't have to cut, especially since I was able to get down here. I was able to get from down here, behind here, to here. And I do not have to cut the CAN bus wire. I still have to splice this in, but I don't have to cut this. And I'm honestly less concerned about this than the bus wires, mainly because of the fact that the bus system provides data. Sorry, this is tearing itself apart. But life hack: if you are a fisherman and you have these, the purpose of this is to unclog live wells. But if you're wanting to do something like this, just get a piece of string, tie it. I'm not going to retie it to show you guys, but just tie it around that connector, and then put this down in here. Actually, maybe I'll be able to show you. Well, I don't know if the thing's gonna let me do it, but you see that? The space was good enough for this to pull down. I had to pull on this a little bit, not too much, because it shatters, but I was able to pull it out enough for me to pull this down, and yep, right there, I was able to pull that down, and I can easily just shove this around back in here. Alright, that's clear, that's covered. So now when I go to hook it up, I can easily just do that. So, now one of the last steps is to cut all this harness up, cut all this wiring up. I may also even peel this back just to make things easier, but cut this connector off at whatever length is best. I don't know what mine's going to be yet, but the CAN bus I don't have to cut. But this I still have to trim, so I'll let you know how that is. But before I cut off, just get some, if the holes don't line up, just get some electrical tape and hold that up. You don't want to get this too close to the engine. I don't really see any moving parts, but I don't want it to get too hot and that the wires burn off and have to buy another harness. I can buy another harness, but it's so hard to find these harnesses nowadays. But that's a little life hack for you. If you own a Dodge Ram, that's from I believe it's 98 to 02 that uses this type of system. There's a life hack for you. Okay, I didn't film me splicing, but I finally got everything spliced up, and I'm about ready to test out the computer. So let's get on to it. And before that, I also have the temperature sensor hooked up. Come on. Oh. I was hoping that maybe it fixed the problem. I don't think it did though. But the problem should be fixed now. Can't handle keys today. Sorry, this is a little finicky. I don't like this key. Come on. I really do not like this key. Alright. There's your key on ignition. Your compass and outside temperature. Odometer. Average econ. Economy. Your distance to empty. And your trip time again. And then there's a blank page. And look what else. I finally have dimming again. But the radio does not work. Son of a... Okay. And the interior lights don't work. Again. Son of a... So I'm hoping that it would be something simple. I changed out the fuses and it did not work. But at the same time, I am just super happy. And I have auto dimming again. The auto dimming always worked, but I now have I have a computer again. And all I need to do is just reset everything pretty much. And the gauge cluster seems to be cooperating with that too. Prior to this, when I would plug the connector in, it would get pissed off. The ABS light, the airbag light would come on, and then the odometer would be blinking, and I'm still keeping my fingers crossed, even though there's not really any pinching points. But the thing is so there's no digits, but there's lights. I can't adjust anything. Alright, but everything else seems to work. So that I'm grateful for. It's just so irritating. But I'm very happy to have that fixed. Oh, okay, the lights. So that pretty much concludes the overhead console project, and I guess I have another project I need to fix. What the heck is going on with the radio and why my overhead lights won't work? What fun. Well, anyways, that concludes the overhead trip computer project. I gotta straighten this out a little bit before I put this back in, but everything... The fact that it's now working did prove a theory that there was a pinch in the wiring harness below the dash. So, if something does change, I'll give you an update and see how I fix the radio and the overhead lights. Alright. Have a good day and enjoy the video. Okay, that pretty much concludes my overhead console project. Believe it or not, I did not reset the compass when I was backing up on the road. It finally reset itself. In the previous clip, when I fixed it, it was reading northeast, but by the time I got on the road, it was reading west. So that pretty much concludes everything. Everything else seems to work. My trip works. My average economy, instant economy, distance to empty. Yeah, I could actually get more than 150 miles out of half a tank. It's just gonna take a bit of time for the computer to finally realize that it's working again. I actually may just top it off just so it could have a fresh start. It's been 2 or 3 days, so it should be great. And then you're back to your compass. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but I did not have to press any buttons to reset the compass. It may be off by 10 or 20 degrees, but everything else seems to. The compass reset itself, so that makes me happy. I don't have to drive in circles, at least not in this unit. But the temperature sensor works really great too. And my radio is working as well. Yeah, my radio is working well. All the buttons are working too. As I said, the orange lights are very picky. And everything. The gauge cluster is still cooperating with this. My trip reset after the batteries have been disconnected, and I have 158,395 miles on this truck. That is absolutely nothing for these diesels. So if you like this video, leave a like down below, and feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Thank you.